A lot of us out here, a lot of folks that have been laid off of work or hours cut back, et cetera, lost their job completely, are dealing with a lot of anxiety and possible depression. And what suggestions, Bruce, do you have um, for those folks that are dealing with a lot of those type of situations?
Yeah, first of all, really work hard at doing some of those basic kinds of things, getting at least 6 hours of sleep. The reality is that when we sleep, our body flushes bad chemicals that have been used in our brain, and that flushes them out. It's kind of like a toilet, just flushes those out, and renews those chemicals. But if we don't get good sleep, that flushing, that kind of turnover doesn't happen. And we really, really need that. And so then combined with some exercise, exercise creates endorphin activity. That's really a great thing to promote good, positive mental health. A good diet also does that. Really working at developing a routine, working at maintaining a routine helps us feel less out of control. And then, of course, one of the biggest issues is just maintain relationships. Too much isolation isn't good for anyone.
Sure.
Just too much isolation. One of the things that I've recommended that people do during this COVID time is that if you're well, go visit friends. Take a chair and sit in the driveway and have a good visit. But if you can't do that, get outside. Staying inside is not helpful to one's mental health. So even taking a drive is a wonderful thing to do. Put on some good music. And one of the things that I've recommended to folks is go visit your church. Even though you don't go into your church, just going over by your church can be helpful to you. That's really important. And then watch funny movies. Enjoy funny movies and spontaneous laughing. I said this to you the other day.
Yeah.
About spontaneous laughing. And people kind of look at me like, what do you mean? I said, well, you can spontaneously laugh. Like, I can laugh like this, and I can enjoy a good laugh. And you have a smile on your face right now. And then you can stop. But those really develop good kind of endorphin activity. And I asked you to try doing some spontaneous laughing. How'd that go?
Bruce, that went fantastic. And I have done that since you and I spoke late last week. I think it was Saturday and Sunday. And I was telling my wife about it. And I think she thought I was crazy. And I took your suggestion. I didn't go out in the yard and do it because all the neighbors maybe would be looking at me a little
Right.
strange. But I did. I just stood in the middle of the room and I just laughed. And my wife was starting to laugh at me. And
Yeah.
you're right. It was helpful. It got you used to call it the endorphins, right?
Yep.
Moving, and I thought that was fantastic. Right now, I'm laughing just thinking about it. So no, that was a great suggestion that we are trying to implement at our house.
But some of the other kinds of things that people can do it doesn't take a lot. Like you can go on YouTube and you can go enjoy cartoons like you enjoyed when you were a child. Like I love Roadrunner and Bugs Bunny cartoons. I think they're hilarious and they give me a laugh and I enjoy that. And then one of the other more important things is find grace and go volunteer someplace. And your volunteering can be at the food bank, or you can go to your local geriatric facility and see if they're okay with you going to windows. Don't go without asking. But going to windows and knocking on windows and saying hi to people and talking to them through the window, gives you great joy. That's a volunteering kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those are really important.
Well, the thing that I've learned here today that I didn't take away, I don't think we talked about this at our last conversation, was the flushing of the brain, the sleep,
Yeah.
and the importance of that. So that was really one of my big takeaways here today. Something else that you were sharing with me, Bruce, when we talked last week was you invested in some new devices that you're utilizing now at your facility. You might want to just touch on those.
Yes. Major depression is an incredibly debilitating kind of issue, and it costs this country over $150 billion a year in lost revenue. Just that alone. And some folks who have had at least 3 antidepressants fail them can use a technique called transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS. It's a device. Ours are built in Israel. They're expensive. We have 4 of them. And they create a magnetic pulse that goes into the brain. It feels like a tapping, but nothing's touching your head. But it feels that way because it's an incredibly intense magnetic pulse. It doesn't hurt. Some people will get a little bit of discomfort, and they might get a headache, but that's it. They don't lose any problems getting to and from our agency. I mean, they come in for 20-minute sessions. They drive themselves, watch a show on television, and then they drive home. 5 days a week for 20 minutes a day. And the amazing part about this is that these are folks who have suffered from depression for years. And we have treated about 1,000 patients. Typically people take this test. It's called the PHQ-9. And anybody who scores 20 and above is considered majorly depressed. And of course, it's 25 to 0. And so what we've found in our work utilizing TMS is that after the 5 weeks of the initial sessions, 75% of them go from 20 and above to 5 and below. It's amazing.
That's fantastic.
It is.
One of the statistics that I think you threw out when we were talking last week was that 70% of the people out there are suffering from some sort of mental illness, and that was a staggering number.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
It
really is amazing.
Yeah.
And the really amazing part here is that really 50% of all lifetime cases of mental health begin by the age of 14, and 75% of them by the age of 24. I mean, that's amazing. Suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death for people 10 to 24.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just staggering.
Well, Bruce, I want to thank you for your time today. This was awesome, and I know I have some great takeaways. And man, I just love that laughter one. That is just awesome, and that's being implemented in my house currently. So, thank you so much for your time today. And if any of you would like to visit with a counselor, clinician, I'm sure Bruce would be happy to visit with you. And
right.
Again, you can find him at Compass Clinic. So thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of the day and a great week. See you, Bruce.
Thanks,
Bye.
Matt. Bye.